Hi, this is John Pinto, Realty World Pinto and Associates with Maria Guardado from University Mortgage, and we're going to talk about REOs, real estate owned by banks, bank-owned real estate. Now, Maria, I am finding that with the very low interest rates, the very high rents, the general cash investor dissatisfaction with the stock market and what cash is earning in the banks these days, there's a tremendous competition between first-time home buyers and cash investors for the low end of the market, the very affordable priced houses, especially the REOs. What are you seeing from a lender's perspective?
I do see that a lot where my buyers have to put in multiple offers just to different properties to try to get into something.
So they're making a lot of offers. Are they offering on properties simultaneously, putting in 2, 3, 4 offers at a time?
I have seen that.
Okay, yeah, basically more of a crapshoot, playing the roulette wheel.
That's right, improve their chances.
Okay, good. Are you getting any feedback on how many offers these poor people have to make before they prevail?
I don't have any hard data, but I would say it's taking them, a couple, 4 weeks.
4 weeks, and maybe making 2 or 3 offers a week?
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay, so the takeaway is you need to be diligent, you need to be persistent, you need to be making offers, and I would imagine they're probably losing a lot of time to the cash investors.
Cash investor is cash is king.
Okay, so let's talk about buying REOs if you're a cash investor. If you're a cash investor, you want to make sure that you have a copy of your check. That goes for all buyers, a copy of your earnest money check, your proof of funds. Now, if you're a 96.5% FHA, you want to make sure that your proof of funds shows enough for the down payment and the closing cost. If you're a cash investor, make sure your proof of funds shows the entire amount to pay cash for the property. And of course, the pre-approval letter.
Of course, if you're FHA.
Anything else that we should submit with their offer, Maria?
Just be patient and diligent.
Okay, very good. Now, I would imagine that most of these offers are as is when they are presented, correct?
Yes, all of them are as is. Additionally, they'll say no exceptions, et cetera, et cetera.
Are any of the offers, including the sellers, the banks, giving the buyers a credit for any non-recurring closing costs?
I have still seen those, although more than likely lately it's been a reduced closing cost credit.
Okay. If you really, really need the closing cost credit, should you figure, I'm going to go in and put the closing cost on top of the purchase price and hope the property appraises?
I would recommend that if you really need closing cost credit.
Okay. And what about when the inspections come through? Have you seen any inspections where the buyer got scared and asked the bank to fix the property, or the appraiser notated some prior to doc conditions on the physical condition of the property and required it as a prior to doc, prior to funding condition?
We still have seen some of the prior to doc conditions to be repaired on the property, and more often than not, the buyer or the buyer's agent is working on those.
Okay, so when you say working on those, you mean working on it from the standpoint of submitting a contingency removal to the seller and the bank stating we're removing our contingencies, but we need you to fix these items?
Actually, no. Actually going in and doing some of the work.
Oh, so the buyer is actually going into work. So this is tricky business, because you've got an as-is offer with a bank who, dealing with the bank, is tenuous at best, and there's a condition for $1,500 worth of repairs. The bank won't do it, so the buyers are actually going in and doing the repairs on a house that they don't own.
That's correct.
There could be some blowback on people on that one.
There is, but knowing that the REO lender won't do it, more than likely the listing agent's not going to do it either, because they're not fully vested in it either. However, the buyer is really vested in getting that property. Okay,
and I'm going to imagine the worst possible outcome has not materialized yet, and that is the buyer goes in, does a couple of $1,000s worth of repairs on a house that they own, that they don't own, and then the deal falls through. I'm assuming that hasn't happened.
Hasn't happened yet.
Okay, but it will. It will. That's very tricky business. And I'm going to imagine there's a paper trail where the bank is actually stating in writing that he will allow the buyer to make those repairs, even though the buyer does not own the house.
Correct.
Oh, that's very tricky business. This is getting tougher and tougher every day. Let me ask you another very compelling question. A lot of these REOs will send back 150 pages of disclosures that say nothing. There's 150 pages of things to sign that says nothing. Okay, how are you dealing with it? How is the buyer dealing with it, the borrower? How are they dealing with that?
So of course it seems a little repetitive. A lot of times I do hear from realtors that this additional addendums to the purchase contract, is somewhat contrary to our purchase contracts here in California. However, these REOs, again, they are kind of holding the borrower to sign those if they want the property.
It's the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules.
That's right. Unfortunately, that's the case.
Yeah, well, I just had one where we made an offer on a bank-owned property, and we used the standard California Association of Realtors purchase agreement. We gave a proof of funds showing enough money to close at that purchase price and give the closing cost. We gave a copy of the earnest money deposit. It was a very serious cash offer. And they came back and said, we'll look at your offer if you sign 150 pages of meaningless disclosures, and you cannot use digital signatures. And basically, I could not help myself. I pushed back and I said, look, we got a cash offer. If you want to do business, do business. My investor does not have time to print out 150 pages, hand sign it, and feed it into a fax machine. So we'll see what happens. They did say they were going to respond to my offer anyway. But who knows, maybe I'm starting a trend and we're going to extricate ourselves from this lunacy. So is there anything else you would like to offer the real estate public on what they should or should not do when buying a bank-owned property?
I would say be patient if you do get into contract with something that you really like. Be patient, just be diligent and patient.
Okay, and don't be surprised if you're dealing with an unreasonable seller.
Can be very unreasonable.
Okay, very good. So, everything you wanted to know about bank-owned properties, you heard here. This is John Pinto, Realty World Pinto and Associates, and Maria Guardado of University Mortgage, signing off for now.